Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV, and welcome back to the final parts of the Friday Night Social, and it is the golden question as usual. We've got some great questions tonight. So kicking us off, we've got Carl in Washington DC. So Carl, what's your question tonight on the Friday Night Social?
Yeah, my golden question to you guys is quite simply, been looking at Gundogan and Rodri, looking at their games and the way they play. And I noticed that Gundogan seems to be quicker, move the ball quicker, move the ball faster, move the ball forward, and Rodri plays the ball sideways a lot. Is he a better six than Rodri? Chris?
I think it's a really good question, actually, Carl. And I'd have to watch a bit more to make a really informed decision. I think Gundogan had a really good game against Arsenal, really good. But I've also seen him have quite mediocre games as well when he can be pretty slow moving himself. And Rodri, his first season in the Pep system, I imagine he will become a better player in time, or not a better player, but more accustomed to Pep's system. I got to say, I'm going to stick with Rodri if I'm between the two at the minute. I do think Gundogan is underrated and given a bit of a hard time, but I think where City are, or we have our problem is, I don't think Gundogan and David Silva together is a good combination, and that's what I think. I think Rodri has got a massive season coming up after this farce is over this season, and then we'll see. But yeah. I think it's a really good question, Carl, and it might prove in time that Gundogan might be better suited to that. But at the minute, I'll give Rodri the benefit of the doubt.
What about Everton, Carl? What do you think as a neutral?
I've got to agree with Chris. I think Gundogan's a great player. Everyone slags him off, but I think Andy loves him, and I've got to say I really respect Gundogan. I think he's a good player, but I think he's a player who he's used for certain games. Like, he's not a 38 starter player. He's not good enough, in my opinion, to do that. And I think Rodri, he's had some bad games, but some good games. But it's his first season in England. He's come from a very slow league in the La Liga to such a fast-paced league. It's going to take time for him to adapt. And he's having to fill a role of probably one of the greatest CDM the Premier League has ever seen, in Fernandinho. So it's a lot of pressure. But I think Gundogan, he doesn't have the same tackling ability as Rodri. Rodri he can see the passes before they've been made of certain players, where Gundogan can't do that, and Gundogan likes to push up. And there was a lot of times where, and people blamed Eric Garcia for it, where Gundogan was pushing up and Eric Garcia had to come out of position and push up into Gundogan's position, which left a huge gap in the back line for teams to counter. And obviously over the top balls was a big risk. So I'd say Rodri. I think Rodri's good enough, and I think he's proved this year he's good enough. So I'd stick with Rodri.
Okay, Tom, thanks.
Well, I'm going to stick with my main man, Rodri. I love the guy. I think he's had to go through quite a lot in his first season, being asked to play in centre-back in big games, being asked to play in CDM a few games. For Gundogan, I don't mind him. I think he can have great games and he can have bad games. And he's one of those players that you can rely on in situations if we need him to fill in, and he'll do a good job. Rodri and Gundogan playing together is a complete no-no. That just doesn't work, and we've seen that more than once this season. That's just a no-no. But I don't mind Gundogan. I think he's a great player for a guy who doesn't mind being on the bench and doesn't mind playing. I think he's a great guy to have there. But I'd rather have Rodri over Gundogan in that CDM spot. And like the two guys have said, next season is massive for him to prove that he was worth the money we spent on him.
Cool. Martin?
I actually like Rodri, and I think we have to remember it's his first season, and Bernardo had a poor first season, Sterling had a poor first season, Mahrez didn't have a great first season. I know people still don't have keen on Mahrez. We seem to be a bit quick on judging people after 6 months, and they're not coming in and being amazing.
Right.
I don't know why. But I mean, Gundogan, I'm ignoring it. I'm totally ignoring it. It's like eating an nursery.
Why? What just happened?
No idea. Anyway.
What did he
Carry
say?
on, Martin. Carry on, Martin.
What did he say?
I have no idea.
Yo!
Anyway, Gundogan played really well Wednesday night. Absolutely amazing. But I remember 6 months ago, Gundogan was the worst thing going at Man City. I mean, I remember being at Goodison Park with Ander. He loves him now. But I tell you what, some of the fans were having debates that day about Gundogan. He has not always been everyone's favourite player. He blows hot and cold. The thing I've always said with Rodri, I don't think the plan was to ever play him from the get-go. I think the plan was to come in and learn off Fernandinho. But the injury to Laporte killed that idea dead. And I think he's been thrown in the deep end a little bit, Rodri.
Okay. Alan, what do you think?
Well, I watched that video that Andy mentioned before in the week, and that's why I sent it to him. And they mentioned the difference between Rodri and Gundogan, and also Fernandinho. Okay, in that position. At the moment, Rodri, he breaks up play all right. Okay, he's struggling with the pace of the league. We'll see how that goes next year, because I think that's the first year syndrome. Because I just think that Rodri plays a lot of side passes, okay, or back passes, side passes, but I think that's what he's been doing in Spain, okay. Mm-hmm. The one thing that Fernandinho and Gundogan do better than him at the moment, and it's only at the moment, is they play through passes through to the forwards or the midfield players quicker and better at the moment. But we'll wait and see if Rodri proves that, because if you notice when Rodri plays, usually he'll come off or he'll bring Gundogan on maybe after 65 minutes. Yeah. If City's struggling to break teams down, i.e. playing through balls, down the angles, he'll bring them on, and Gundogan does that. Plus he'll push forward with the ball. He'll run forward with the ball, where Rodri doesn't do that. Yeah. But maybe he'll learn that next year. You know, let's face it. We all mentioned it last week. Fernandinho's first season wasn't great, and he was doing the same exactly. But the season after was a huge improvement.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll see.
Good. Thank you, Martin. Andy, finally, Andy, what do you think?
Well, everyone seems to think that I absolutely adore Gundogan.
I know the truth.
Only been a bit of a joke. Obviously, my lads bought me a signed Gundogan shirt for my birthday. I was one of Gundogan's biggest critics, I must admit, a couple of years back, and I was giving him a right load of shit, I'll be honest with you, because I thought he slows the game down. But my one thing that I've always been positive about is I think Champions League football suits him.
Yeah, it does really well.
We play a different style when we play in the Champions League, and I think that really suits Gundogan. Is he a holding midfielder? No way in a million years. He just isn't, because he can't tackle. He cannot tackle for toffee. Would he be great in an 8 or a 10? I think he'd be absolutely brilliant. But it's the same old conundrum. He's not gonna get that. He's not gonna get that. And I've always said from 2.5 years ago, when we set up the channel, I've said all along, whenever we used to play Fernandinho, Gundogan, and David Silva, it was slow, and slower. And the three of them just couldn't play together because it was just slow football. When Fernandinho played with Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva, completely different, absolutely different. Now we've got Rodri in. I think Rodri is a class player. And I do think he's going to need time. He's going to need time to adjust, because it's different from going, well, Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side, he needs a year, and Mahrez needs a year. And Mahrez has been in the league for 4 years. Playing that CDM in a Pep system is an absolutely immense position to be playing. It's huge. It is huge. And Fernandinho, I think somebody said it earlier, I think it was Cal said, probably one of the best central defensive midfielders we've seen in the Premier League. He was brilliant. And I'd still have him there now because of the way he reads the game. And I think if Rodri was in other teams, you'd probably see him in a much better light. But playing in the Pep system, Pep wants that ball moved so fast.
Yeah.
I just think he needs a year to, and I think I agree with Martin that it's a shame because of the centre backs that he's not had a chance to watch Fernandinho and come in as a sub, and he's not had that opportunity. He's been thrown in at the deep end, and yeah, I mean it must be an absolute eye opener for him to try and play at such speed in that role, but have the situational awareness that Fernandinho has, that he can read the game, he can watch, he knows when to move, when to come back, when to sit, when to go. And like Alan said on that video, which you must go over and watch, the link is in the description, he doesn't pass the ball as quickly forward as Gundogan, but Gundogan's a naturally attacking player, or as well as Fernandinho. So I think I think he's a class player. I think there's class in there, but he's going to have to get up to speed pretty quickly because if Pep's not going to play him, if Pep's going to not play Fernandinho in that role, then it's down to Rodri to take that position and actually learn quickly. Because if not, we could be in a bit of trouble because he does slow the game down a little. But I think with just a little few tweaks here and there in a year now in the Premier League, we've seen what he's like when he's around the edge of the area. He don't mind a shot, and he's got a nice touch on him. So he's a player. When I don't buy into I'm not one, and I know others will. I'm not one for he needs a year and things like that. But I do think he does in that position in this particular team. Because it's such a pivotal role. I mean, you're right in the middle of some of the best players in world football. It's the fulcrum of the whole team. So there was this massive pressure on him stepping into Fernandinho's shoes, who was absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to come to Cal Everton first because he had his hand up, then Chris, then Martin. So Cal, what did you want to say, mate?
Just that people also forget that Rodri at Atletico Madrid played a very different role than he has to play now because he was still the same position, but he had someone else next to him.
Yeah.
So, and also, I don't want anyone to get offended by this. The defence when he was at Atletico was much better than it is what he's got at City. He's still got a world-class centre-back from Laporte, but he could trust the other Atletico defenders, and his job wasn't to get the ball up. Because he had Thomas Partey, he had Koke, Saul, he had all these different players for that. His job mainly was just to tackle, get the ball, and kick it out. Get the ball, kick it up, kick it out. Just get rid of it.
And the thing is with that is that we're spot on with that assessment. And the fact is that Atletico Madrid sat deep, so they had a 6 or a 7.
He's running a lot more as well. If you look at his running stats compared to last season he wasn't running as much, and that's when, because people built this thing on that he had this weird stamina that he could just last. He could play 10 games on the bounce in like a few days. But the problem is, you come to the Prem, it's such high paced. Yeah. It's so high paced. The players are such on a different level. I know they've got Messi over there, but over here the league's so different when it comes to quality. Yeah. It's such a horrible role to play over someone who was a workhorse. And in my opinion, probably the best CDM we've ever seen in English football, in Fernandinho. Yeah. So, give him the benefit of the doubt, and I think he will improve next year, 100%.
Good point.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent point. And like you said, you're playing. His role at Atletico was a sitting, holding, deep lying CDM with 4 of the best. Defensive players behind him that played in a defensive role. So he was like the pivot in front of them that's sewn it all together. In a Pep system, it's completely different in that system. So a great point there. Chris, you were going to say something, mate?
Yeah, just really on Ferner. We made a comment about why this season hasn't been as successful as previous. And I think the main thing is Company leaving, not so much for his defensive thing, but for but for his leadership as a club captain, really.
Yeah.
But Fernandinho not playing in that position in CDM has been, I think, the major thing on the pitch as the difference, really. I class Fernandinho in the same bracket as Aguero and Silva, maybe not quite elevated as high as that, but I think Fernandinho has been an absolute star for City, and that pass he played out of defence for the third goal against Arsenal, we've been talking about earlier, was absolutely world class. I think Fernandinho is a real miss from where he plays, and for asking Rodri, Gundogan, or whoever plays in that, Rodri, whoever plays in that position, it's a hellish. The boots to fill there are massive. Fernandinho, absolute legend at Manchester City, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, you talk about that pass. I mean, we've seen Rodri play those passes for City. Yeah.
Andy, I said this after the game, and I said this to Martin. I said I can see Rodri maybe doing like a Company when Company came to us as a central midfielder.
Yeah.
He might actually be a better centre back than he is as a centre mid. You know,
I think
calm under the ball.
He looks very good in defence. You know, I was thinking, he looks pretty calm. You know, so maybe that is his future position. But I think Pep is insistent that his position is CDM. So
yeah, well, that's what he's bought him for. And when you move in, like Cal said, probably one of the best central defensive midfielders you've seen in the Premier League to centre back, and you're putting Rodri in there week in, week out when people are saying, "Oh, get Fernandinho back in there." And
he's the one of the best in the Premiership. But I'll tell you this: he's the best ever at Manchester City in my time.
Unbelievable!
It's the difference in quality as well. It's like with Stones. That's why Stones isn't really like the City, because City went from such a high quality of Company. And Otamendi's first season, he was untouchable. His first few seasons, untouchable at City. Second, but I think every season he's been good at City, but it's just opinions. But I think Rodri's coming in and he's having to deal with so much pressure. And, you know, Stones failed with it, but Rodri, you've seen, you know, the Burnley game, I know it's only Burnley, but the Burnley game, he was unreal in it. The game against us, we couldn't get past us. He constantly he bullied us and made us look like a championship side, which, you know, I'm not going to talk about because we.
I mean, the point is on that, which is interesting, is the fact of, you know, you've got to remember. I mean, we had those two centre backs in Company and Laporte, and Fernandinho in front of him. Now we've got Rodri with Otamendi Stones, Otamendi Laporte, Otamendi Garcia.
Oh dear me!
Yeah.
And I said this last week, I think, on the Friday Night Social or on the preview. You know, can you imagine a new player in a new league that is 10 times quicker than La Liga, trying to fill Fernandinho's shoes and learn the system, and you've got these guys swapping and changing every 5 minutes behind you, and you know, if it was Vinny and Laporte week in, week out, you can go, if he gets past me, I know Vinny and Laporte are going to sort it out, and Fernandinho was so good at reading the game, and he could just think, well, I'll let him come on another 10 yards, I'll drop a little bit deeper, I know Vinny and Laporte will push him behind me, they're never going to get past the three of us, and Rodri's now dealing with calamity. Sometimes. Yeah. It's
true,
but it's a great question, and I'm not sure, guys. Don't forget, if you're watching this video, give us your thoughts to that question. Do you think is Gundogan a better 6 than Rodri, or do you think maybe Rodri's going to be a far better 6 than Gundogan? And also, is Gundogan a better 6 when we play in the Champions League? That type of thing. Give us your thoughts on that question. Very interesting. But we're going to move on to the second question. Slightly off players and more about the club. I'm going to come to Martin. Martin's got a question.
Yeah. Just before I go on to my question, I just want to make a point on the last thing on Rodri. Who's the guy who has the record for most successful passes in the Premier League?
Gundogan. Yeah.
No, Rodri.
Rodri.
178.
I think he's high.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
That's
Right.
what everyone forgets. So
Wow.
he's got it in him. He has
Yeah.
got it in him.
Yes.
Okay.
Whether they're sideways or forward,
Yeah,
I think that's the debate.
Or
A
backwards.
lot of them have been sideways, I promise you.
Yeah, they probably have.
No, it was that
Probably
West Ham game when people were raving about him.
Oh, he was beautiful that
Raving
game.
He's also
He was
he's
beautiful.
got the highest number of first touches passes than anyone else in the Premier League as well. So first touch bang.
Anyway,
That West Ham game, he was beautiful. He was absolutely
regarding the club, and this isn't a thing on the club. City have something, as we know, something called the Citizens Programme, where you can pay £35 a year and you can become a member and you automatically go on the waiting list for a season ticket. Now, all I want to know is the Citizens match day membership, is it worth it, or could City come up with something a little bit different to get people into season tickets? Because I want to speak from personal experience. I've done it for a number of years for my children, and they've never been able to get a season ticket.
Okay.
Where the benefit is of having it.
Just to explain to everybody who's watching the video, if you don't know, for those who are not, don't get a citizen's card or not season ticket holder, if you apply, you pay your money, you get a card which sort of logs you onto the club, let's say, gives you a supporter number, and you become a citizen. You get a little pack. It might have, I think this year, I can't remember, scarf, and there was something else, and I think it was I think it was like a lap iPad, sort of like, it was like an iPad.
Yeah,
cover.
that was it. Yeah, it came in that.
I've got them at the desk and things like that. What have you there, Carl? What's that?
That was the tins. Yeah.
That was the season before.
Okay, that was the previous season, wasn't it? But so what that does is if you don't know, that gives you like a season citizens number, and by having that, you are logged on to the City site, which means that you can apply for tickets and buy them freely, and you can apply for this, that, and the other. So, is it 35 quid? Is that how much? Is
it is? 35 quid for adults.
35.
25 for children, I think.
How much?
25 for the under 17s, under 16s, something like that.
I know my lads have got them as well. So is that how much it is? So the question is it worth it? And could City, come up with something else? I mean, a difficult question. Considering we've got two fans who are abroad.
I've got something to say about that.
I'll tell you what, Alan, I'm going to come to you first for this one, because you've obviously got some sort of like vested interest that you can speak from the official support. So, what's your thoughts on that from a fan?
I won't try not go on too long.
Yeah, please.
The citizen card scheme is flawed, completely flawed. Let me give you an example. When you're trying to get tickets on either on the day or the day before a game or whenever, if you're not a citizens member, you can't get ticket. You have to get not only the citizen card. So if you're going with a bloke and a kid, you've got to pay £35 plus £25, then buy a ticket on top. So it becomes very expensive, right?
Is there anything wrong with that though? Because I mean, if you're
it is.
If you're a City fan, you're going to be buying tickets. Is there anything wrong?
Hear me out. This season they've requested the supporters branch, right? That everyone has. They did last year. A citizens card number. Okay, so you have to go online. And get the citizens card number. All right.
Is this for your supporters club?
Yeah, every supporters branch around the world, right?
Right. Okay.
You have to go on. You have to go online and subscribe. So if you've got, let's say, yourself and a child, all right, and you want to put both the numbers in for that person, so you could at least, if you go to England, you could go and try and get a ticket. Okay. Yeah. All right, but also get a discount on souvenir shop and all that sort of stuff. Right. Yeah. Now the problem is it's flawed. And I spoke to Kevin Parker about this. Is that when you go online and you register you as on an email, it recognises your email address. Okay. So you do it as that on your email. You get sent a number maybe 12 hours later. Okay, so that's your number. But if you use the same email address for the kid, for the child, so if you as a father use your same email, it will not register and you don't get the number from the child. So in other words, there's problems with that scheme because it's flawed with the email. If you keep using the same email address or use the same email address as the year before, it's not recognised. It doesn't recognise it, and there's no way around it apart from ringing supporter services, which is a nightmare to get round. So you've got half your membership at the supporters club cannot get numbers. I had one guy last year who put in his application, and it took him 6 months to get a number because it wouldn't recognise the emails. This is on the online system. That's the only way you can do it, is the online systems.
So you're telling me if you're an official supporters club member,
yep,
to be an official supporters club member, you have to buy a citizens card.
Correct.
So you have to be
yes.
a member of an official supporters.
The only way they want you to have a number, right? And the only numbers you can get is through the citizens card, right? So you have to spend to get a citizen's number.
Really? I didn't know that. I really didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's a so in other words, to me, it's just a money-making scheme.
So if you've got, like, for example, Melbourne Blues, you've got like 250 signed up members.
Yeah.
They can only sign up officially if they buy a citizen card through the Man City website for £35 if they're an adult. But will possibly never go to Manchester to see a game.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I never knew that. It
should be free. To me, it should be free.
It should. Yeah. Well, it should be free.
Even if you're living in Manchester, to me, it should be free.
There is no doubting about it. If you are living in Melbourne, Australia, and the chances of you ever getting to go back to the UK, and some people, like I know Steve, says he's only been back a few times in years and things like that, but he set up the Melbourne Blues. Well, if you're one of those that can't get back to the Manchester, let's even say once a year, but can't get back for 1 or 2 or 3 years every now and then because it's the other side of the world, you cannot be a member of your official supporters club unless you've paid.
You've got a number. You've got to have a number.
So I've got
a season card, right? I've had a season card for
but you've got to have a citizen's card.
I've got that number, so I've got the number already, right? What we're saying is they've got to have a number, and you to register as a Melbourne Blue through the official supporters club, you've then got to get yourself a number as well. You've got to go online and do it. So the problems was when you were registering, it was recognising your email addresses, and some were getting numbers and some weren't. And then when you apply for a ticket through the supporters branch, if you went to England for an away game, for argument's sake, and we went through Kevin Parker's supporters club, he would ask for a number, okay? And if that person hasn't got a number, they cannot be allocated a ticket. So it becomes an absolute nightmare. Steve has he has a nightmare.
Yeah, I can see on the side of it that if you're applying for tickets and things like that, there's the possibility you need a citizen's number to get a ticket and things. But I mean, the thing is that all right, I'll ask you the question: do your supporters in the Melbourne Blues, do they have to pay a subscription to join the Melbourne Blues, or is it free?
$20.
Right.
And kids are $5.
Okay. But my point is they're having to pay City to be able to have a citizen's card, to be able to join your group, that they have to pay. And you should pay. You should charge, absolutely. But what I'm saying is they have to pay City first to get to be able to join your official support.
It's all about. We have to do a spreadsheet, right, which we sent to Kevin Parker. We have to do a spreadsheet with the names of all the members by a certain time and have their numbers alongside it. And the only way to get a number is to get a citizen card.
Yeah, well, we know what supporter clubs' ticket allocations and who they go to. We know what happens with those lot. Anyway, in Manchester, never mind in Australia. So any bugger can get a bloody ticket from an official supporters club. That's the way it seems. They were passing
But
them out
what I'm saying, Andy, it's not about
various
tickets.
away games.
We're talking about you have to have a number on that spreadsheet because Kevin goes, we need numbers for all these people.
You know what? You would think, wouldn't you? You would think that if you are somebody who lives in Melbourne, somebody who lives in Washington DC, somebody who lives in New Zealand, somebody who lives in Goa, like Akio and some of the others, if you create an official supporters club and you're paying to be part of that, well, you're given a number. You're given a number because it's an official supporters club. Not you have to pay City to get a citizens card to get a number, and then once you've got that, oh, I'm allowed now to join this official supporters club. Oh,
Well,
by
that's what
the way, you have to pay to join this official supporters club as well.
There was an online thing last year which just gave you a number without paying, but this year they're asking you to join the citizens membership. So straight away it's going to cost. Well, Steve was telling me about 2 weeks ago, and I said, "You're kidding now?" He said, "No, it's just turning into a nightmare because you've got half the members who haven't got numbers, and because they can't register online because it never bloody works."
Yeah. Right, I'm going to bring Tom in. Martin
Yeah.
seems to be engrossed in his phone, so I'm going to bring
No,
Tom. Tom, what are your thoughts?
Well, to be honest, I'm quite lucky to obviously have a season ticket and have been. I've never been on a scheme because my granddad moved out to Cyprus and I took over his season ticket, so I've been quite lucky with that. The only experience I've had from the citizens cards is when my granddad wanted to come and watch the Carabao Cup final against Arsenal a few seasons back, and it was 2 days before the game, and he was coming over anyway. And because of the card, he managed to get a restricted viewed seat, which wasn't even restricted, and was be able to make the game, which was quite a nice moment for me, my dad, and my granddad to be a game together, especially at London. So I can only say, in my opinion, I can understand where Alan's coming from. It's only been good for me because I've been able to spend a game with my granddad, who I only see once or twice a year anyway. So I can only say the citizen.
Do you think it should be free or you have to pay for it?
Oh,
You have to pay for it.
Yeah, I think it should be free, but the only problem you have then is the reason why I think they're probably asking for a price is so you don't have other fans trying to get tickets like they did in the Aston Villa Cup final. We had lots of Aston Villa fans coming to watch cup games such as Port Vale and Fulham, and were getting tickets just so they could go and watch the Carabao. So I think it's done on a basis where if the majority of the tickets are going to actual City fans rather than people who are only going to come on 1 day basis just so they can get certain tickets for other games. So I guess there's some sort of logic behind it, but I think it's wrong to be paying that so much money for a very crappy package at the start of the season, which we can all agree. I know Martin we're not really looking forward to the packages we get with our season tickets at the start of the season because it's all filled with rubbish anyway.
Well, that's my point.
I mean,
you pay for this to get on the season ticket.
Yeah.
Really, you're paying £35 to get on a season ticket waiting list,
and you're not guaranteed a ticket.
That you're not actually going to get one on.
Yeah, but you're not. No. Not everybody is paying £35 to get on a season ticket waiting list because not everybody wants a season ticket.
They're just there for everything.
They just want to be able to buy
But
tickets.
Right, you pay £35 to buy a ticket then.
Carl in Washington.
Yeah.
Are you on the Citizens card so you can get a season ticket to go?
No. I just buy it because I want to be a member of the Citizens. I get surveys, I get information about tickets. They email me once in a while when games are coming up to book tickets for Champions League. So that's why I buy it. Just to belong to the club. That's it.
You can buy a ticket if you wanted to come over.
Week.
So it's not everybody who buys the Citizens card is solely so they can be on a list to get a season ticket because we've got fans all over the world, haven't we?
Loads.
I think 35 a bit steep to become a member then.
Well, I mean, maybe 35 quid is. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. My point was what Alan was saying, which I was quite shocked about, is that if you join an official supporters club, you can't join that unless you are a citizens card holder. So you've got to pay 35 quid to do that, and then go and pay your. And there's nothing wrong with charging, because these
No.
guys do a lot of admin and great open days and bring players out, and there's a lot of administration fees and booking the Imperial Hotel and all this type of stuff. There's nothing wrong with charging for joining an official supporters club, but you can't join it unless you actually pay City 35 quid.
Andy,
then
that's what I
pay
was on
their
my phone
fee.
for. I was reading the terms and conditions of it, and I couldn't
you
find
can-
it anywhere.
Andy, you can join the supporters club, but if you what Steve needs is a number to be associated, so we could send that list to the supporters club.
Where
in
does
England
that number come from?
from the citizens card.
Right, well, there you go. So you
That's
have
why people
citizens.
use them then.
And so you're being paid twice. You're being charged twice to be able to be. Let's say I live in Melbourne.
You do that if you're at home on a Saturday. You usually work on a Saturday in a factory or something in Manchester, right, or wherever. Yeah, and you wake up and going, I've got a Saturday off. I want to take my son to the match. And you're not a season ticket holder. You've never had a card. And you go up to the city. You can't buy on the same day. And if you went the day before, if you haven't got a citizen's card for you and your son, you cannot get a ticket for a match, which is ridiculous.
No,
You're not paying double.
Yeah, no, but I tend to agree with that side of it, because if you are in Manchester or you're in around the northwest or something like that, and on the day you decide you want to go, you could be anybody. You could be a Liverpool fan, a Villa fan.
That's why we have empty seats. You go. Hang on. You go to Barcelona's website now. You can order a ticket today for a game, and you can come from anywhere in the world and go in any part of the two parts of the ground.
I know,
But hooliganism's not a bad thing over there. Fighting and stuff's not bad over there. You get it all over. Man City were terrified when we played United and they reduced the restrictions down to 3,000 because there were United fans all over the shop. That's why it's done. Because
how many of those empty seats are caused by people on the day who've got a job in Manchester and have a day off and go, I tried to get a ticket but I couldn't.
In all fairness, back on the other side.
They're not. They're just people who've not turned up in their seats on the day. They could have sold it and they haven't sold them, or they haven't bothered putting them on sale.
Alan, you know this, and Andy knows. A lot of them empty seats are actually season ticket holders.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
Not a shadow of a doubt.
That don't put them on the ticket exchange.
Yeah, they're people who don't want to sell them. They're people who don't. I'm not bothered about 20, 30 quid. I just won't sell it, and they could be asked to put it on there to pay, some money back. They're not bothered about the money.
And it's quite.
Most of those seats are empty by season ticket holders who don't turn up, probably live abroad and got numerous amounts of tickets and just are not bothered about the money. It's not about the money.
You start to get emails if you don't. So I've got my card. If he doesn't turn up for 2 games, I get an email saying, "Can you? If you don't start, selling your ticket through us, we're going to take your season ticket off you."
Yeah.
The thing that is because I know this. I've heard some stuff. People ask why is it always full for the big games and not the likes of Watford's, your Norwich's, and your West Ham's. It's because the majority of the seats you see are run by businesses in that stand opposite. And
the family stand's a big one. That drives me mad.
You can't see that as much, can you, on the TV? People ask why that's always emptied and not the East Stand level 1. It's because in that stand over there, a lot of the businesses such as UEFA, Heineken, all those sort of, they invest in tickets, and all companies all over the world, and only sell them out for the big games, because that's the only way they're going to make back the money, because there's not a lot of people such as the tourists that are going to pay to go and watch Norwich and stuff,
problem, Tom.
which is the bad thing.
Now. Totally right, but then on the other side, and maybe this is why I've got an issue with it, is you have my son and my daughter, for 2 years I've tried to get season tickets, being citizens, ring up City for 2 weeks on the trot begging. They tell me, ring it 9 o'clock, we'll get them. I was on the phone at 9:01, 9:02. They were sold out in 180 seconds. Not a cat and house chance they were sold out in that time. They're already siphoned off and ready to go.
Yeah, they're making it.
So
They're
what's the
making
point
it.
of being a citizen?
They're making it easier though for the citizens because I know they're only giving businesses that have them only 3 games and they terminate the tickets. So I know that because there's some people that we knew that had tickets and because they couldn't make it, they terminated the tickets and they were put on general sale every single week.
Well,
So
City said if you don't attend, is it 8 or 9? If you miss 7, 8, or 9 games, something like that, you
yeah,
lose your season ticket now, don't you?
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, listen. I don't know. Is £35 too much for what it is?
Should be free. Should be free.
No,
I,
10, I think a tenner maybe.
I don't.
Yeah, they need a little bit.
I don't think they should be free. I must admit.
No, because you have to think about
Yeah,
it. If they're transporting them all over the world, and
Yeah.
you think about there's lots of them, it costs a little bit to make the stuff as well and
Yeah.
transport it. And but 35 quid isn't right. That's more than a ticket at a game. 10, 15,
Personally, £10 for an
10
adult, £5 for kids.
10,
Well, at the
15,
end-
10,
at the end of-
15 quid.
At the end of the day, what I do disagree with is that if you're an overseas official supporters club, I don't see why you have to pay
Yeah.
£5
Oh yeah,
just to get a number so that you can join an official supporters club. I mean,
You're paying twice.
you charge them. So, and the official supporters club should charge because of all the admin and the work and the benefit of what you do for the fans overseas. I think that's absolutely right.
oh yeah.
$20 Australian dollars is peanuts to join an official supporters club. But I don't see why you have to join the cities. And what they should be doing is going, if you want to give out season numbers, that's run through the official club. So if somebody says, well, they paid us $20, they're an official member, the club give them, or via you, give them a number. So they're now an official citizen because they paid you, because you've got official supporters club status.
You've got to get. Look, they've got to get a number. And the only way to get a number is get a card.
Well, it's the only way, yeah, what you're telling. I mean, I don't know, because it's the first I've heard of that, so I don't know. So if that's the case, I think it's wrong. But at the end of the day, I guess if you look at the thousands and thousands and thousands of fans who don't go to many games or don't go to any games, but still want the 35 quid citizens card so they can get the freebie at the beginning of the season, keep in touch and things like that, then the club are making...
They get discount online for merchandise as well.
10% off and things like that. Then the club is still making quite a bit of money off that. And they know, the likes of Carl in Washington, who knows he can only come over for certain dates, and when he knows that he's going to be off that week, he might be able to get a game. He knows he's got his card, and he knows he's being eligible to be able to get online and buy a ticket. So it is worth it for that, you know, because if he doesn't, he can't buy a ticket. But I don't get the official supporters club one where you're paying twice for it. I mean, it seems madness. But anyway,
I'll get the full details off Steve.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Exactly where it's worded and what it's done.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. But anyway, that's the end of this part. That was Cal's question. Brilliant question about number 6, and another good question from Martin. Big debate about the citizens card. 35 quid. What do you think? Too much? What do you think? Should you pay it and then pay again to be an official supporters club member? Certainly overseas, when you might come to maybe one game if you're lucky during the season. But anyway, give us your comments below, and we'll see you for the next part. Alan, you wanted to say something. I think you wanted to clarify something from the previous part.
Yeah. The thing about the citizens card, match day card, to be a member of a supporters branch, you just need a citizens member number, not a citizens match day number. So there's 2 different cards. There's one of the other. It's a citizens member. That's the minimum they need, which holds a number.
Which means you still have to pay. You still have to pay.
I haven't got that information.
Yeah,
you still have to do. Yes.
I'm
not sure how much.
Yeah, I think it's about 20 quid or something like that. So you still have to pay to be a citizens member to join an official supporters club as well.
So I apologise for that wrong information. Yeah.
No, it's all right. No. It was just the difference between citizens member and a match day member. The actual concept is still exactly the same. You have to be pay City and then pay your official supporters club as well to get a number.
Yeah.